This is part 3 of section 8.7. We want to rationalize this complex problem right here. This is dividing complex numbers. We call it rationalization, and that's because, remember, I is in the place of a square root. Just like we're not allowed to leave a square root in the bottom whenever we're dealing with radicals in general, we're not allowed to leave an I in the denominator either. And we actually approach this exactly the same way we do when we're rationalizing things with a something like 7 plus 3 times the square root of 2. We are going to multiply the top and bottom by its conjugate. Okay, remember this problem that we did earlier that I marked? When you multiply two things like this, they're called complex conjugates. You will always end up with a real answer in that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make that I go away by multiplying top and bottom by 7 minus 3i. Okay. Now, when we multiply there in the top, we need to, it's going to look ugly for a little while. We're going to distribute, and we're going to combine like terms, and we'll probably have something that simplifies in the end, but that's not guaranteed. Okay. Negative 38 times 7 gives me negative 266. Negative 38 times negative 3 is going to give me 114. I. Now multiply negative 8i times 7. It's going to give me negative 56i. And then I have negative 8i times negative 3i is going to give me positive 24i squared. And this is over. Okay, now we have a difference of squares here in the bottom, so we square each piece. 7 squared is 49. And this is minus, because it's a difference of squares. And then you square this, which will give me 9i squared. Okay, so we have a lot to simplify here. Now, we're going to be able to combine like terms here. And then what I often do is, rather than recopying this, which is, for me, a place where I make my mistakes a whole lot on recopying steps, I just simply do this right here and just rewrite a negative 24, because that's what that means. It's going to be a negative 1 times 24, which is going to give me the negative 24. So I'm going to combine these two. It's just saving myself rewriting the whole thing. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. This minus 9i squared is going to become plus 9. Okay? So now that I combine these, I have negative 266 minus 24, and that's going to give me negative 290. 114i minus 56i gives me 58i. And this is over. 49 plus 9 is 58. Okay, so this is rationalized, but I also need to make sure that it is in lowest terms. Something else, if you remember back to the first page, I said that not only do these, do they have to be in the correct order, but they need to be fraction. If you have a fraction like this, you need to split them up. So no matter what this ends up being, I need to split this up into negative 290 over 58 plus 58i over 58. And that's because they want the real part separate from the imaginary part. And right here, they're not completely. Now you would reduce each of these fractions as much as possible. Okay, negative 290 over 58, that divides evenly and you get a negative 5. Okay, and then here, your 58s cancel out. So you get negative 5 plus I. And that is your answer. Okay, so let's try another one of these. Okay, and I have negative 1 plus 5i over 3 plus 2i. And again, I'm going to multiply. I'm going to treat these as if they're in parentheses. And I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by the complex conjugate of the bottom here. So that means I'm going to multiply by 3 minus 2i on both of these. Okay, so let's distribute here. I have negative 1 times 3, so negative 3. Negative 1 times negative 2i is going to be plus 2i. Now go to the positive 5i times 3 is going to be plus 15i. And then 5i times negative 2i is going to be negative 10i squared. And this is over. We have a difference of squares here in the bottom. So you square your first term, which is a 9, minus, square this completely is going to be 4i squared. So we can combine like terms right here. And then minus 10i squared, remember this is going to be negative 1, so this is going to end up being plus 10. This minus 4i squared is going to end up being plus 4. Okay, so what I have here in the top is negative 3 plus 10, which is 7. 2i plus 15i, so that's plus 17i. And this is over. 9 plus 4 is 13. Okay, so it is rationalized, but it's not written in the correct form yet because I need to split this up into two fractions. This is the same thing as 7 over 13 plus 17 over 13i. Neither of these fractions will reduce, so this is my answer. As ugly as it is, this is the answer.